Now, something to note in our project file names is we'll say CB6000 plus CM3000. The reason why we want you to know that, that this is associated with a CM3000 is because now we're not using direct COM commands, because the CB6000 is talking to the CM3000 over the network. So you have to think about the chain, the communications chain. Let's say I want the CB6000 to send a message to the projector. The CM3000 has an RS-232 connector, and because it is typically physically close to the projector, we go ahead and use that RS-232 cable to the projector. So if you think about the chain of commands, you start at the CB6000, it sends a network message to the CM3000, and the CM3000 relays that message to the projector. Okay? Now, that can make the command string a little bit complicated. So I'm going to go over that, and that probably is the most difficult thing for people to get used to, is sending network commands that have basically a command within a command. That's where the macro is going to come in very handy. So I'm going to go into this area called Action Viewer. The reason why I'm going to do this is because I want you to see this command for projector on. Now, that's a long command. There's a lot of stuff in there. And if you look right here at this part of the command, that's similar to what we did earlier with the COM command. Pound COM1. This part of the command right here is brand new. And what this is I need my CB6000 to send a network message to this IP address, and I'm going to ask that IP address, deliver this to the COM port. So it's a command within a command. And there's a lot of things going on in there, a lot of part of the syntax, and if ever you can't get one of these things to work, go to our project files, copy and paste the example. I mean, it's nice to know what all these different characters are. In fact, we do have in your folder, there should be FrontRow control commands. There's a PDF in there. In this PDF, we break down all the different parts of our syntax. In fact, we even go down here and we tell you about the network commands. So there is information that tells you how these commands are put together. So in fact, right here, this would be a network command going to an IP address. It's the same thing. It's the command within the command, and it's going directly to an IP address. And this works great if you've got a conference room, for instance. You've only got one room, but this is that problem that I highlighted earlier, that if you have 50 rooms and you've got 14 different actions and each one of them has that IP address, I don't want to have to go into all 50 rooms and change the IP address. So in that case, I'm going to do a name substitution. Okay. So hopefully you all got that folder, because this is a very useful document. We have another document on there called Calypso Protocols, which Calypso is, it's FrontRow, and this one is a very engineering-centric type of document. And if you're having trouble sleeping at night sometime, you might want to browse through this. But this explains in greater detail all of our commands and how they're built. And the other one is just, it's a cheat sheet. It gets you from point A to B a lot quicker. So inside this command right here, we always start our commands with the pound sign. And that tells our device, here comes the command. And this three-letter abbreviation, net, means I'm going to send a network command. F1 means I'm going to send this command TCP/IP, which is our standard network dialogue back and forth. F2 would be what's referred to as UDP. The difference between the two is TCP/IP is a formal way of sending a message over the network, where you ask for acknowledgement, and the two devices are talking back and forth in a kind of a formal way, and the guarantee that it's going to be delivered is higher because there's acknowledgement between the network devices. You never see it, but they're talking to each other. UDP means just get there as fast as you possibly can, and I don't need an acknowledgement that you got it. UDP would be useful for volume up and down, for instance, where you want the command to go a little bit faster, and the acknowledgement is that the volume is going up. So that's what F1 and F2 is. Now this little symbol right here, the @ symbol, and the squiggly brackets with the name in here, that is simply telling this command string, go to the macro definition page, and whatever that IP address is there, and whatever network information is there, substitute it. So what happens is this command right here gets relayed to the downstream device. Like I said, this can be a little confusing at first, but it is the nature of sending network commands and having it relayed. One of the advantages of this is we can send network messages between devices. Let's say that there's a split room. You have room A and room B, and you have a controller in room A and a controller in room B, and a divider down the middle. Room A is physically connected to the projector, but if you open up that divider, you can have a master file from room B that sends a message over to the controller in room A, and that gets relayed up to the projector. I mean, just giving an example of the power of using network-based commands. In this case, we're using a network-based command. You don't have to. The CB6000 does not have to send network commands to the CM3000. You can send a COM command to that black connector, and it can travel up to the projector and connect. It makes the command easier to send, but now you have to run an extra cable. So the reason for sending network commands is simply to eliminate running a cable. I want to make sure that is understood, that you don't have to do network commands. We highly recommend it because even though it's a little more complicated in the programming, take advantage of our files, but it makes the cabling a lot easier.
If we're in a room with two projectors and a flat screen, can the CM3000 handle all three devices for control?
Okay, the answer to that question, the CM3000 has a single RS-232 connector, so it would go to one of the projectors. The CB6000, we would now need to use that black connector for two extra COM ports. So that black connector would have a COM port that goes to the second projector, and another RS-232 that goes to that flat screen display. So if you have the CB6000 plus the CM3000, you get 3 RS-232 connections. But the CM3000 by itself only has a single RS-232 connector. Well, the nice thing about the combination of the CB6000 or 2000 plus the CM3000 is you get virtually, you get 4 COM ports. And what I mean by that is the CB6000 has 2 COM ports by itself, the CM3000 has a COM port, and I can control the amplifier via the network. So I can actually get the equivalent of controlling 4 devices that are normally controlled via RS-232. So you get like a bonus connection because the CB6000 talks to the CM3000 over the network.